ज़्यादा आगे तो नहीं आ गई, ज़्यादा आगे तो नहीं आई।
आगे हो कैसे देख रहे हैं इसमें? देख लो कैसे
ठीक है,
इसी तरह चलते देख लो जैसा ठीक हो गया।
ठीक है। Evening chanting, page 14. यो सो भगवा अरहं सम्मा सम्बुद्धो स्वाखातो येन भगवता धम्मो सुपटिपन्नो यस् भगवतो वक्संघो तमयं भगवन्तं सधम्मं ससङ्गम् इमे हि सत्कारे यथार्हम् आरोपिते हि अभिपूजयाम साधुनो भन् ते भगवा सुचिरपरिनिब्बुतोऽपि पश्चिमा जनता नुकम्पमानसा इमे सकारे दुर्गतगणापरूपे पटिगणातु अम्हाकं दीर्घरतं हिताय सुखाय अर्हं सम्बुद्धो भगवान् बुद्धं भगवन्तम् अभिवादिनि स्वाखातो भगवता धम्मं नमस्सामि सुपटिपन्नो भगवतो सावकसङ्घो सङ्घं नमामि अन्वयं बुद्धस्य भगवतो पुब्बभागनमकारं करोमसि नमो तस्स भगवतो अरहतो सम्मा सम्बुद्धस्स नमो तस्स भगवतो अरहतो सम्बुद्धस्स नमो तस्स भगवतो अरहतो सम्बुद्धस्स अन्वयं बुद्धानुसतिनयं करोमसि तं गोपन भगवन्तम् एवं कल्याणो कीर्तिसद्दो अभुगतो इति पिसो भगवा सम्मा सम्बुद्धो विद्याचरणसम्पन्नो सुगतो लोकविदु अनुत्तरो पुरुषसारथि सत्तादि मनुस्सानं बुद्धो भगवाति अन्वयं बुद्धाभिगीतिं करोमसि बुद्धवारहन्त भरतादिगुणाभियुतो शुद्धाभिज्ञानकरुणा समागततो बोधेसियो सुजनतं कमलं वसुरो वन्दामहं तमरणं शिरसा जिनेन्दं बुद्धो यो सर्वपाणिनं शरणं प्रेममुत्तमं पठमानुसतिष्ठानं वन्दामि तं शिरेणं बुद्धस्सस्मि दासीव बुद्धो मे सामिकेश्वरो बुद्धस्सहं नियादेमि शरीरं जीवितं चिदं वन्दन्तीहं चरिष्यामि बुद्धस्येव सुबोधितं नत्ति मे शरणं अन्यं बुद्धो मे शरणं वरं तेन सज्जवज्जेन पठेयं सतु शासने बुद्धं मे वन्दमानाय यं पुण्यं पशुतम् इदं सभ्येऽपि अन्तरायामि माहेषु तस्य तेजसा अन्वयं धम्मानुसतिनयं करोमसि स्वाखातो भगवता धम्मो सन्दिट्ठिको अकालिको एहि पस्सिको ओपनयिको पच्यतं वेदितव्यो विन्योहीति अन्वयं धम्माभिगीतिं करोमसे स्वाखाततादिगुणयोगवसेन सेयो यो मार्गपाकपर्यतिविमोखभेदो धम्मो पुलोकपतना तदधारिधारी वन्दामहं तमरं वरधम्ममेतम् धम्मो यो सर्वपाणिनं शरणं क्षेममुत्तमम् द्वितीयानुसतिष्ठानं वन्दामि तं शिरेणहम् धम्मस्सस्मिदासीव धम्मो मे सामिकिस्सरो धम्मस्सहं नियादेमि शरीरं जीवितं चिदं वन्दन्तीहं चरिष्यामि धम्मस्य वसुधं मतम् नत्ति मे शरणम् अन्यं धम्मो मे शरणं वरम् एतेन सच्चवज्जेन वढ्ढेयं सत्तु शासने धम्मं मे वन्दमानाय यं पुण्यं प्रसुतं इद सभ्येऽपि अन्तरायामि माहेशुं तस्य तेजसा हन्मयं सङ्घानुसतिनयं करोमसि सुपटिपन्नो भगवतो सावकसङ्गो उजुपटिपन्नो भगवतो सावकसङ्गो न्यायपटिपन्नो भगवतो सावकसङ्गो सामीचिपटिपन्नो भगवतो सावकसङ्गो यदिदं चत्तारि पुरुषयुगानि अष्टपुरुषपुद्गला एष भगवतो सावकसङ्गो आमुनेयो पामुनेयो दक्षिणेयो अञ्जलिकरणीयो अनुत्तरं पुण्यखेतं लोकस्याति हन्मयं सङ्गादिगीतिं करोमसे सधम्मजो सुपटिपत्तिगुणादियुतो यो अट्ठविदो अरियपुग्ग सङ्गसेठो शीलादिधम्मपवरा सयकाय चित्तो वन्दाम्यहं तमरिया गणं सुशुद्धं सङ्घो यो सर्वपाणिनं शरणं क्षेममुत्तमम् ततीयानुसतिष्ठानं वन्दामि तं शिरेणहम् सङ्घस्सस्मिदासीव सङ्घो मे सामिकिस्सरो सङ्घसं नियादेमि शरीरं जीवितं चिदं वन्दन्तीहं चरिष्यामि सङ्घस्सोपटिपन्नतं नत्ति मे शरणम् अन्यं सङ्घो मे शरणं वरम् एतेन सच्चवज्जेन वढ्ढेयं सत्तु शासने संगम मन्दमानाय यं पुण्यं पसुतं इद सर्वेऽपि अन्तरायामि बाह्ये सुन्त सतेजसा
अब हम रतन सूक्त की चैंटिंग करेंगे थोड़ी सी, जो हमारी चैंटिंग बुक में है। हिंदी में पेज 126 में, इंग्लिश में भी उसके आसपास ही होगा, आप देख लीजिए। तो उसका कंडेंस्ड वर्जन है वो।
पेज 126 रतन सूक्त। यं किञ्चिवित्तम् इदवाहुरं वा सर्गेषु वायं रत्नं प्रणीतं ननु समम् अत्ति तथागतेन इदं बुद्धेरत्नं प्रणीतम् एतेन सच्चेन सुवर्तिहोतु खयं विरागम् अमतं प्रणीतं यदजगासख्यमुनि समाहितो न तेन धम्मेन समत्ति किञ्चित् इदं धम्मे रत्नं प्रणीतम् एतेन सच्चेन सुवर्तिहोतु यं बुद्धसेठो परिवर्णैः शुचिं समाधिगम् आन्तरिकम् आहु समाधिना तेन समो न विद्यति इदं धम्मे रत्नं प्रणीतम् एतेन सच्चेन सुवर्तिहोतु ये पुग्गला अट्टसन्तमसत्ता चत्तारि एतानि युगानि होन्ति ते दक्षिणेया सुगतस्य सावका एतेषु दिन्नानि महत्फलानि इदं संगे रत्नं प्रणीतम् एतेन सच्चेन सुवर्तिहोतु ये सुब्बयुक्ता मनसा गलेन निकामिनो भूतमशासनं हि ते प्रतिपत्ता अमतं विगह्य लब्धा मुदा विभूतिं भुञ्जमाना इदं संगे रत्नं प्रणीतम् एतेन सच्चेन सुवर्तिहोतु कीनं पुराणं नवं नति संभवम् विरक्तचित्त आयति के भवस्मिन् ते कीर्णबीजा अवुर्णीय छन्दा निबन्ति वीरा यथायं पदीपो इदं संगे रत्नं प्रणीतम् एतेन सच्चेन सुवर्तिहोतु
Keep this, I assume that. And now listen to a discourse, the third discourse on the series by Madam Carol Wilson on Anatta. The subtitle today is Renunciation.
I think it must have been Mecca, the feeling, such appreciation for the Sangha. Looking around here, lots of people here are really good friends. All of you are really dedicated practitioners. I feel like we could just all take turns giving the Dharma talk, and it feels like such a privilege. And when you were chanting the refuges and precepts, I just was flashing on how that's been going on for 2,600 years, just like that. There's a saying that it's a saying, that if there was ever one moment where no one was practicing the Buddha Sasana in the world, it would go out of existence. Not the truth, but the Buddha's teaching. And so that actively, with us sitting here practicing and, committing to the precepts, the refuges really, they're like, I just flashed back on all the nuns chanting in Dharma and this feeling of it's the same as it's been for 2,600 years and how we're all part of that. And I don't know, somehow my heart just felt really full. And I wanted to share it with you all because sometimes you can forget that just sitting here slogging through the day. But it's a beautiful thing you're all doing, all of us. Well, those of you who were here last week, remember I was speaking about Sakaya Ditti, personality view, personality belief. Really, my focus last week was on how our sense of self is constructed moment to moment by how we cling to views, to constructions, thoughts, beliefs that are based on clinging to any aspect of nama rupa, right? Any aspect of mind or body experience, because we perceive it inaccurately, right? Because we perceive the permanent and what is impermanent. We cling to an aspect of the aggregates of nama rupa and construct a whole sense of self moment after moment. I could not have said it that quickly last week. And I just ended by saying how that it's cut through by the deep and transformative perception of impermanence, of anicca, right? That cuts through the Sakaya Ditti, clinging to views. Tonight I want to talk about another aspect of practice that is very basic. You all know this, but it's another way that we can focus that helps us, it's another avenue of seeing through the delusion that keeps creating a sense of self. And it's very simple. It's rather than view, the first step of the Eightfold Path, it's wise intention, the second step, attitude. In specific, the attitude of renunciation. But first I want to say that this sense of clinging to a sense of self, of creating or of somehow just having a sense of self is so subtle at times. Sometimes it's really gross, but it's so subtle and it pervades through all levels of our experience. This isn't to be discouraging. I actually find this rather encouraging, because sometimes people think, well, I should see through these views. Why do I keep having a sense of self? It's enough already. But elimination, and even that, elimination of complete belief in Sakaya Ditti, which in itself seems like that would be huge, but the elimination of the belief in Sakaya Ditti does not completely remove the sense of personal identity. In fact, I want to read you from the sutta. I want you to read a lot of Buddhist stuff tonight. This one that I always really liked, about a bhikkhu, a monk named Kemaka, and the other bhikkhus thought that he was an arhat, completely enlightened. And it goes on some whole long story how they keep coming and talking to him and saying, you're an arhat. He says, no, I'm not, back and forth. But the deal is, he says, I'm not basically, because I still have this feeling of I am. And I said, well, what is it? And he said, friends, I do not speak of form as I am, rupa, part of the aggregates. But at the same time, I don't speak of I am apart from form. He says, I don't speak of feelings as I am, of perception, of volitional formations as I am, or of consciousness as I am. He says, friends, although the notion I am has not yet vanished in me in relation to these five aggregates, still I do not regard anything among them as I am. You get that? It's like he doesn't think form, perception, consciousness, volitional formations means he knows this is not me. But at the same time, there's some feeling of I am there. Can't you relate to that? And this guy, he's not just some shump, he's like a very seriously practiced bhikkhu. He says, suppose, friends, there's the scent of a blue, red, or white lotus. Would one be speaking rightly if one would say the scent belongs to the petals or the scent belongs to the stalk? He said, no, friends. So how would you answer it rightly? So answering rightly, one should answer the scent belongs to the flower. So too, friends, I do not speak of form as I am, nor do I speak of I am apart from form. He goes through all of those. So although the notion has not yet vanished in me, in relation to these five aggregates, I don't regard anything among them as this I am. Even though a noble disciple, when they say noble as disciple, that means someone who has at least reached the first stage of awareness. When they use that word noble, that's what that means, at least. Even though a noble disciple has abandoned the five lower fetters, okay, he's past the first stage. Still, in relation to the five aggregates subject to clinging, there lingers in him a residual conceit, I am, a desire, I am, an underlying tendency, I am, that has not yet been uprooted. I can really relate, just like not relate to the five lower fetters being gone. No, I'm not saying that. But just to that subtle, like sense, like a perfume, the scent of a flower, just this conceit, this underlying tendency, I am, and it kind of floats around and you can't quite pin it down. The five aggregates subject to clinging. The point I want to make here is how clinging is so pervasive, because all of this residual conceit or sense of I am arises because of clinging. And so that's why clinging is always the middle, the kind of core teaching of freedom from clinging. So tonight I want to talk about seeing through clinging in the arena of the attitude of our heart and mind, working with the second step of the Eightfold Path, which is wise intention, wise attitude. So the direct response, the purification of the tendency, the reflex action, you could say, of clinging, because it seems like that. And by clinging, we mean not only clinging for the pleasant, but, wanting the unpleasant to go away. Sort of like clinging to not being, right? So it covers both of those. It's kind of like a reflex action. So the direct response is Panya sees through attachment to views, that's wisdom. But Panya turned on to clinging, clear seeing, we begin to see the seductive and delusional nature of clinging. And the natural response is this shift, this purification of our attitude, you say, when we put our trust, but of the natural response, the attitude of heart and mind, from one of greed, wanting, not wanting, to that of non-greed, of a natural renunciation. And this is this inner attitude, this purification is something that we can actually include in our practice through the methods really, but the idea, the realm of giving attention to renunciation. So renunciation is both an expression of the spaciousness, the coolness, the peace of the fire of greed and clinging having gone out. And it's also a kind of a structure, a form of practice that we can cultivate to purify the tendency of clinging. So, uninvestigated, and even partially investigated, what's interesting is you look and see for yourself. Don't believe what I say, but what I see is that our notions are kind of uninvestigated, superficial notions about both of these two attitudes, about clinging and about renunciation, are both, they're kind of backwards in a way. Like that clinging, not if we think about it rationally, but the way we act is that clinging is going to bring us happiness. Clinging and wanting and getting things is a way of happiness. Renunciation is kind of dour, unpleasant, a penance at best, but certainly not very joyful and nothing that we particularly want to hang out with. Two things from the Buddha in this way. One about clinging. He says, monks, what is the noble truth about the origin of suffering? His answer, just this craving, which brings renewal of being, and which is accompanied by pleasure, by lust and emotion, and finding delight, now here and now there. Namely, the craving for sensual pleasure, the craving for being, the craving for non-being. This is called the origin of suffering. What I like about in this particular context is he points out that craving, which is accompanied by pleasure and lust and is finding delight now here and now there. That's the way I think when we don't really investigate, that's how we relate to craving. Oh, delight over here, delight over there. This doesn't work anymore, never mind, delight over here. And that is superficially what we notice, what is kind of feeding the reflex action to go to clinging as a strategy for happiness, this finding of delight. We say that's the gratification in clinging. There is pleasure, brings delight. The danger, of course, is it doesn't last, and the escape is the abandonment. Now, in terms of the way that we view renunciation, that's kind of upside down to what the real experience of it is when we open into that real renunciation of attitude, which is freeing, which is so spacious. This is again from the sutta. The Buddha, Tapusa the householder, was talking to Ananda, and he asked Ananda these questions, and then Ananda took him to the Buddha. And so Tapusa sits down, and Ananda says, Tapusa here said to me, Venerable Ananda, we are householders who indulge in sensuality. We delight in sensuality. We enjoy sensuality. We rejoice in sensuality. For us, indulging, delighting, enjoying, and rejoicing in sensuality, renunciation seems like a sheer drop-off. In other words, that's not attractive, right? Yet I've heard that in this doctrine and discipline, the hearts of the young monks leap up at renunciation, grow confident, steadfast, and firm, seeing it as peace. So right here is where this doctrine and discipline is contrary to the great mass of people, this issue of renunciation, right? So can you relate to that? Maybe you're not rejoicing in sensuality, but here's that little piece of what about, Renunciation means I can't have anything. The Buddha's answer is interesting. So it is, Ananda. So it is. He didn't say, oh, this foolish man. He agreed with him. So it is. Even I myself, before my awakening, when I was still an unawakened bodhisattva, thought, renunciation is good. Seclusion is good. But my heart did not leap up at renunciation. It did not grow confident, steadfast, or firm, seeing it as peace. So we could cut ourselves some slack if he was even the bodhisattva at that time. the thought occurred to me, what is the reason? Why doesn't my heart leap up at renunciation? Why doesn't it grow confident, firm, or steadfast, seeing it as peace? And I thought, well, I have not seen the drawback of sensual pleasures. I haven't pursued that theme. I have not understood the reward of renunciation. I have not familiarized myself with it. He's always just so straightforward and practical, you know? That's why my heart doesn't leap up at renunciation. Of course, you can imagine he goes on and says that he did pursue those themes, and his heart did leap up at renunciation. Because, of course, when you really explore with just a clear heart and mind, without getting lost in our preconceived notions, clinging actually isn't such a purveyor of delight. Momentary, maybe. But if we really look, this is from Nisargadatta Maharaj. I know, I'll read from the Buddha too. Nisargadatta, I just like this one. The state of craving blocks all deeper experience. Nothing of value can reveal itself to the mind that knows exactly what it wants. Can anybody here relate to that in your meditation practice? The mind of clinging is narrow, restricted, limited. The Buddha says this over and over. Nothing can reveal itself to the mind that knows exactly what it wants. That's the danger in craving. The Buddha often used images, really strong fire images, about the burning of craving. You know, the fire sutta where the eye is burning, the eye contact forms are burning, the air flame. I'm not going to read that one, but basically he's saying all our senses, all forms, contact is all burning with passion, burning with aversion, burning with illusion. It's not a kind of like, oh, well, you know, let's just see how it goes kind of image. It's like, we are burning. And here's another where he's describing clinging. Actually, the name of the sutta is clinging. The Blessed One said, in one who keeps on focusing on the attractiveness of phenomena, the five aggregates, craving develops. And this is very important. Now, I'll say it again later, too. This is unwise attention. Focusing on the attractiveness of phenomena develops craving, and craving then, as craving as a requisite, develops clinging. From clinging as a requisite comes becoming. From becoming, birth, then aging and death, sorrow, lamentation, pain, distress, and despair. You know that, right? The chain of dependent origination. The origin of this entire mass of suffering and stress. Just as if a great mass of fire of 30 or 40 cartloads of timber were burning, a giant fire, and into it a person would time and again throw dried grass, dried cow dung, dried timber, so that the great mass of fire, thus nourished, thus sustained, will burn for a long, long time. In the same way, one who keeps on focusing on the attractiveness, the allure of phenomena, craving develops in the whole chain of dependent origination. And it burns for a long, long time. So basically, it's not that the sense objects or any object is a problem. It's that craving is just throwing fuel on the fire. Craving itself is the fuel for the fire that keeps us going. Renunciation, actually, rather than being a sheer drop-off, rather than being a penance, rather than, restricting and limiting our life. It's craving that restricts and limits and contracts consciousness, contracts the mind and heart. But renunciation, the inner attitude of non-greed, the inner attitude of simplicity, of contentment, that actually opens up the space to be really awake, of non-clinging, the coolness Mind and heart that's not burning with the fire of clinging. The spaciousness that actually allows for nature to reveal itself when the mind is not clinging. This is from Huang Po. This pure mind shines forever with the radiance of its own perfection. But most people are not aware of it and think that the mind is only the faculty that sees, hears, feels, and knows, blinded by their own sight, hearing, feeling, and knowing. They don't perceive the radiance of the source. That's clean, actually. We're blinded by our own sight. It's not the sight that blinds us. It's the clinging to it. It's the looking outward. It's really the crux of our problem, the heart of our ignorance, that in the attachment to forms, to our seeing, to our hearing, really to the forms, to the sound, to the meanings of our thoughts, to our emotions, to what's happening, to experience, there's this continual looking as a metaphor. It's not looking with the eyes, but a continual turning of attention outward, away from what Huang Po is calling the radiance, the natural radiance of heart and mind, whatever you want to say, but looking outward for completion, whether it's to pizza, whether it's to concentration, whether it's to enlightenment, whether it's to, the person next to you being quiet. It doesn't matter what it is, whether it's to a different mental state. But looking outward isn't necessarily outward beyond this body. It's outward from just the resting at ease in whatever arises. The looking outward that's fueled by craving, by clinging. It's really the heart of our problem, as if somehow perfection is outside of ourselves. Huang Po, this is the rest of the Huang Po. This one mind, this pure mind, is the Buddha. And there is, now listen to this, he says, there is no distinction between Buddhas and ordinary beings, except that ordinary beings are attached to forms, and by forms is all of the experience. Ordinary beings are attached for forms, and thus seek for Buddhahood outside of themselves. By this very seeking, they lose it. And that seems to me really the heart of the conundrum. But it's radical. It's not give up some of the seeking, but hold on to this one, Any tiniest little looking outside, we lose the recognition of the pure mind. That's the clinging. You see how pervasive, how subtle it is. And as we all know, just say, okay, I get it, clinging's no good, I think I'll stop now. No. So in terms of looking at renunciation as a quality of mind, of heart, and in small ways, or large ways, whatever, playing with, practicing an active kind of renunciation, it's just another way of changing the channel from the constriction of clinging to the spacious coolness of non-greed, of renunciation. It's a movement of deep compassion for ourselves, not of penance, of punishment, of negativity. Real renunciation is a joyful, opening experience. Just a state of mind, comes and goes like anything. So really when we think of renunciation, rather than thinking of it as a giving up, it's more about learning to renounce this fruitless quest of looking for peace for something outside of here and now. The way Sogyo Rinpoche. The purpose of meditation is to introduce us to that which we really are. Pure awareness, which underlies the whole of life and death. In the stillness and silence of meditation, we glimpse and return to to that deep inner nature that we have so long ago lost sight of amidst the busyness and distraction of our minds. Meditation is bringing the mind home. That's really how I think of just opening to the moment of putting down the craving, just renouncing the craving in any one particular moment. It's bringing the mind home, withdrawing this looking elsewhere for peace, for wholeness, because it's the looking elsewhere that actually hides the wholeness. But it's such a deep, deep habit. We really rely on it. And I think at some point almost everyone I've talked to here, and I see it in myself all the time, we see through many moments of reaching outside or clinging to something, whether it's a particular outside sense object, whether it's to a particular state of mind, whether it's wanting things to be a certain way, or suffering, we see it and really see through it. And then it may really be peaceful, spacious, open for a while. But some little other something comes in the mind or in the experience, and that really deeply ingrained reliance on clinging, reliance on the idea, we don't even have it consciously, that this is what something has to be different for peace, for freedom. Whether it's the sitting has to be different, this thought has to be different, my experience has to be different. And as soon as that comes in, there's clinging. Clinging not being the form of pushing away. And it's so easy for us, and even when, especially when it's subtle, not to kind of overlook that attitude of craving and get a little bit focused on the thing that we're craving or pushing away. That's looking away. Even when it's something like a mood, we're involved in it, but there's disappointment. What does that mean? We're trying to think, looking away right there. It's so subtle. But it doesn't mean we're renouncing life or renouncing experience or even renouncing sense objects. As Geshe Rabten says, that having great compassion for yourself is the same as renunciation, because we're renouncing the delusion, the attachment that keeps one bound to samsara. So when I'm talking about here renunciation, it's really this inner attitude, just a willingness to notice the attachment. And we can't necessarily stop it, but we can at least renounce buying it wholeheartedly. And the inner motivation of renunciation is, I think, is my opinion, more important than the outer form. The outer form can support us. I'll talk about that some. But I know it's possible to live very simply or to be practicing very austerely. I know it's possible to be an ordained person and be completely filled with attachment to the form, with pride or arrogance or complete self-judgment, which is really the same thing, one or the other. It's possible, although it is hard, to be living a completely immersed worldly life and not be clinging. It's harder. It is harder, just because stuff happens so fast. But it's really all about inner attitude. What's in the mind? What's noticing? So as I was saying, we get so habituated to looking away from, almost like one of the ways it feels is something will make me feel happy when things are unpleasant. But sometimes when things start to get spacious and quiet, that sense of, again, it's the superficial sense of an emptiness, of something lacking, of something needing for completion, and looking out for that. And it's a reflex habit, whether it's for sense experience, just the five senses, whether it's to mental experience, emotion, whether it's to, as I talked about the other night, ideas and views of self. Doesn't really matter what to. So a practice of renunciation is really a conscious choice for our happiness, and it's a conscious choice to kind of break this habit, to consciously see what the mind is doing and the constriction and the burning that clinging brings, and the peace and the space and the joy that a moment of renunciation can bring. It is hard because it's such a habit for our mind to face away from itself, and things happen so fast. This is Ajahn Chah. He's talking about the flood of sensuality. Kamoga, the flood of sensuality. He says, we are sunk in sights, sunk in sounds, in smells, in tastes, in bodily sensations, in mental activity. We're sunk because we look only at externals. We don't look inwardly. And there's so many. They happen so fast. And Soka Rinpoche goes on to say, our mind faces away from itself. Our attention, our mind, bends towards whatever we experience. Sight, sound, smell, taste, texture, mental experience. Our mind leans toward. The attention is completely caught up by what's happening, and then we get into thoughts about it, the future, the past, the associations, and then we're gone. Out of that comes views. But there's this tendency to lean out. And then how that leads even more to craving is that unwise attention that I spoke about. And play with this in your practice. When you notice something pleasant, whether it's an image in our mind, something pleasant we're eating, a pleasant emotion, a pleasant sitting, doesn't matter what. The unwise attention, but this is what the Buddha said is what throws the fuel onto the craving, is really focusing on how attractive this thing is. That's different from the pleasant. Really noticing pleasant Vedana, that's just pure mindfulness. It's more like, wow, this really tastes good. This is really so smooth on the tongue. That kind of, this is really gratifying. I really like it. Unpleasant, of course, that's easier to see. When you're annoyed at someone, the mind just keeps going back to those annoying things about that person. Every time, you can see it more easily. I can see that one more easily anyway. Each time the mind goes back to what's wrong with that person, you get a little more annoyed. You get a little more annoyed. Well, it's the same with the pleasant. They're both unwise attention, throwing fuel on the pleasant object and the gratification. So I'm using simple sense experiences, like food. But try a really smooth, light sitting. And you're aware of it, and we're noticing, oh yeah, this is nice, this is pleasant, but there's this, yeah, this is how it's supposed to be. I'm just really seeing the rapture now. This is just really, and we keep focusing, subtly, just how nice this is. We don't see the clinging in the background. We think I'm really immersed in the beauty of this experience, Just play with how that happens. And you'll know. We don't always know how we got there, but we know that craving is being fed sooner or later, right? When it hits us back in the face. And those are the times when we don't think craving is finding delight now here and now there. We think, wow, I was mindful. I was doing it right. How come it went away? And then we hear ourselves and go, well, I know it's supposed to go away. Everything's impermanent. I really know that. But something's wrong. There's something I'm doing wrong because, and then we'll find some other rationale or some other reason, because we can't really acknowledge. We're just clinging to that was really nice and I really liked it. Sense of me. Just play with it. It's unwise attention. We do it all the time and get led into whole worlds of papancha, of action. Like an example, once I was sitting in a beautiful place in South Africa, and I came out one morning right at dawn, and there was this big row, it was really beautifully landscaped, of iris bushes. And this one morning, right at dawn, they'd all bloomed. It was really exquisite in my memory. I mean, you know, the memory is years ago. Very subtle, lavender and white, extremely beautiful. And I came out, beautiful. Now see, renunciation doesn't mean you can't appreciate the beautiful. Renunciation doesn't mean, no, don't look at that. But renunciation means renouncing the clinging and really bringing mindfulness, wisdom, satipanya, right to that moment of sense contact. That's the place for renunciation. Now, I didn't do this at that point. Wow, aren't they beautiful? They're so beautiful. The pleasant feeling in my body, I'm all liking that, they're so beautiful. And then, clinging is going on because it leads to papancha of mind and proliferation of action. My mother would love to see these. She's such a gardener. I wish I had a camera, but I don't. But maybe my friend sitting over on the other side does have a camera. I ended up running around the place, looking for my friend, bothering him on his retreat, getting his camera, trying to take a picture. Which, of course, when you look at the picture, it doesn't show anything, it just shows some green leaves. Well, I wasn't appreciating the beauty of those irises anymore. I was running around, like a nut, trying to hold on to it. That's just simple, but that's how the craving leads to complexity, leads to papancha, makes our lives so complicated. The renunciation isn't, I'm never looking at the flower again. The renunciation isn't cut down all the irises so we don't, God forbid, get tempted. It's bringing in satipanya, mindfulness, wisdom, right at that point of contact. Oh, it's beautiful. You feel the energy going out. Or it's awful. You feel the energy recoiling. Oh, it's like this. That's really the essence of wise attention, of renunciation, right at the point of contact, understanding it. This is the Buddha. For some people, contact, the point where sense plus object meet, if you've been right there, that point of seeing, the eye, the iris is seeing, is enthralling. Contact is enthralling. And so these people are washed by the tides of being, drifting along an empty, pointless road. Nowhere is there any sign of broken chains. But others come to understand their sense activity. And because they understand it, the stillness fills them with delight. They see just what contact does, and so their craving ends. They realize total calm. Sounds beautiful, doesn't it? Doesn't sound so harsh or kind of penance or a restriction of life. Restraint at the sense doors. First is satipanya, mindfulness, wisdom at the point of sense contact. When we're able to do that, great. It doesn't have to expand any further into clinging, into papancha. In that moment, that's a renunciation of the clinging, of the looking outside, of the looking elsewhere for completion. That's something that the space, the structure of a retreat, the simplicity of a retreat helps us do. All of you have chosen to come here. It's a huge form of sense restraint, of renouncing complexity, renouncing having things your way, renouncing getting the meals you want, renouncing a lot of things, being with your family, whatever, to be here. It's not that all the things we're putting away to come here are bad, and that those things are keeping us from freedom. Of course not. But the strength of our trust in clinging and looking outside is so deep, and it rises so quickly. And as Ajahn Chah says, we're so sunk in this flood of sensuality, this flood of experience. I mean, even on retreat, it's not as much, but there's still so much going on. Seeing, hearing, smelling, tasting, thinking, that's always going on. But There's so much, especially in our daily lives, that's why the sense of renunciation as an outer form. Often when we say renunciation, people think right away there's an outer form, whether it's taking robes or whether it's just renouncing work and busyness for a while to come on retreat. So as I think I made the point, I'm not thinking renunciation is the outer form. That outer form and structure is extremely helpful to give us the space to explore the burning of clinging, the coolness of renunciation. It's like Thich Nhat Hanh says, things are so busy and loud, just shut the windows once in a while. You don't have to let every wind come blowing through your house, It's not that we hate the world. It's not that we're shutting out the world, but simplifying just gives us a lot more possibility to notice what's going on. And I know you all know this. None of you would be here if you didn't know it. I'm just kind of reinforcing stuff that we already know. It's like clear the decks. Appreciate the simplicity. But the simplicity itself is meaningless if we're not using the space it creates to really look at what's going on in this mind and heart when we come at that point of contact. So how much form, how much simplicity we want, that's personal. Something for each of us to explore and maybe changing as we go through our lives. But it's really what helps us be more present at this point of contact. So with Satipanya, we just meet what's happening and we don't concoct a whole world out of craving, out of clinging. And I know you know what I mean, but just later, just think back over how many worlds has your mind concocted today based on contact. Contact with a sight, contact with some thought. How many different, incredibly strong personality views have you created in your mind today just based on an unpleasant thought that came up? Based on not liking the way your breath felt? Or maybe a really beautiful. They come, they go. All we have to do is watch it. But you see how fast, how much contact there is. It really, really can help to simplify. It gives us space to recognize what the mind is doing. And the conscious renunciation of outer form, say the conscious putting down. Take, for example, the 8 precepts. Not that people should do it. But one of the things that it can do is I've made the renunciation of outer form. I'm not going to eat in the evening. So when I'm on 8 precepts, like I'm sitting in Burma, you're just on 8 precepts. It's easier actually when everyone's on it and they're not putting out tea, I must say. It's a lot easier. But you just watch what comes up in the mind. So hunger comes up, so what? It doesn't really matter. You just watch it. What you put down is that clinging. You're going to do something about it. And it really doesn't matter. I really mean it. You're hungry, go, oh, hungry tonight. Okay, the hunger's like this. There's no, I've got to fix it, I've got to do anything. There's no clinging. So hunger, not hunger. You feel weak, you feel fine. It doesn't matter if there's space. There's coolness. There's no burning in the mind. That's just a simple example. Sure, at first, with some outer forms of renunciation, the mind kicks and screams, So, I don't want to do this. No, don't take it away. I'm going to be so, if I don't have that, I don't want to live without that. Well, most of us have something, maybe more than 1 or 2 somethings, that fall into that category. And it could be, sometimes it's something really banal that you're too embarrassed to admit to anyone, often when I go to Asia, it's just some little thing, I'm not going to say what little thing, things I just have to take, I don't need this, but no, I've got to have it. Sometimes it's not banal and we're not ready to be able to say what it is to ourselves because it's much closer to home. A certain sense of ourselves, a certain personality trait that we hold to, or a memory, or a way that we relate to the past, or whatever it might be, a particular experience. Sometimes it's a fear of something we don't even have, but you don't want to give up the possibility that maybe someday you're going to have that. Just watch. Where is the mind? No, not this, not this. It's kicking and screaming. And then realize it has nothing to do, the problem has nothing to do with having or not having that thing or that state or that sense of yourself. It's only the problem is the clinging. Renouncing the clinging that keeps us bound to samsara. Again, we get so focused on having or losing the thing or the idea or the sense of ourselves, we're looking outside again. We're jumping over, we're overlooking the attitude of mind of heart. No, I need this. I need this. Oh, feels like this, needing. And in that moment, we've shifted to the rising tension of renunciation. We've put down the clinging in that moment, just for that moment. And we discover we're already home. So, there's the larger renunciation of form in this particular tradition of people who take robes, nuns or monks. I myself lived for about a year as a 8-precept nun in Thailand. And it's true, my mind was kicking and screaming for a good 2 months. And everything that came in my vision, aversion. And I mean, it was my choice, right? No one held a gun to my head. But it really, the mind, doesn't just say, yes, the coolness of renunciation, I'm so happy. But by the end of that time, I'd adjusted to the life in Asia, I'd adjusted to a life, I felt like everything was wonderful. But the simplicity of that life really suited me. And the sense of space in my heart and my mind, the sense of ease, the sense of joy. Of course, I probably exaggerate it in retrospect, we can't trust our memories. But I do know it's true, that I was really happy the last few months of that time. And it's given me a really strong appreciation of the beauty and power of simplicity externally, to just reinforce the possibility to recognize the simplicity internally. It's not that we have to have a simple external, it's just easier to turn around and bring the mind home. Or recognize it's really already at home. So just have a look for yourself. The mind does kick and scream, like Tapusa the householder said, we rejoice in sensuality. You don't even like to think about renunciation. But that's because you don't know what it is. You don't know how happy it really is. But I think also why monks and nuns are really so honored and respected in Buddhist countries is by kind of tradition, the householders really have a great respect for the level of external renunciation that's required. And the longer you live like that, in some ways, the bigger the renunciation, the harder it is. For me, I knew I wasn't going to live like that all my life. So there's a way in the back of, I don't have this now, and that's fine, and craving doesn't come up. But you have the little out in the back of the mind, but I know next year, so it's not like I've given it up forever. I didn't have to look at that. Although that's just a thought, because who knows what's going to happen the next moment. In some ways, our practice, just our moment-to-moment mindfulness, samadhi, whichever one you're doing, practice, each moment that you simply come out of a fantasy and feel the sensation in the foot. Each moment that you notice disappointment is taking you away, and disappointment is like this. You come out of the identification, out of the wanting, and you just are aware with mindfulness. Each moment that we come out of a story, that we come out of a criticism, out of a space out, and just, this is what's happening right now. In a way, each moment of that is the hugest renunciation of all. Renouncing in that moment all your self-images, your self-ideas, your holding to fantasy, your constructions, your concoctions, your sakkaya ditthi. Just for that moment, it's like, just this. In that moment, just for that instant, you've put down all clinging, all looking outside, all feeling of incompleteness and needing something else, all sense of self. Just sensations of pressure, tightness, calling it breath. Feeling of self-judgment is like this. I know, it's so simple. It's like, yeah, fine, right. The next moment, okay. The habit of clinging arises again. The concocting of you, concocting a story, it arises again. That's okay. But notice those moments of renunciation. We're already home. It's not that we got rid of something and created peace. It's that we just turned around and saw, peace is already here. And I'm not lost in clinging. And I'm not feeding that fire with cow manure. That's what it feels like usually it is, cow manure. All right. Anyone can renounce things, people, places, or lifestyles. Okay, we're already at a high bar here, right? Anyone can renounce that. But only a true renunciate renounces interest in her own mind, renounces her ideas, her beliefs, hopes, conditioning, her wounds, her defeats, her victories, her past and her future. That's a moment of true renunciation. Just renouncing the clinging, because in the moment, there's no past or future, victories, wounds. They're all thoughts. They're all imaginings. Just that pureness of presence. That's a moment of no renunciation. This is what we can practice. In a mindfulness practice, or samadhi too, you just come back to the breath. Without clinging, without aversion, you just put down the craving, the attachment that binds you to stories or wanting who you are. And you can also use it in terms of specific forms, like if you notice you're really getting caught over and over in a particular thing, you might experiment with putting it down. Really look at how renunciation brings space to the heart, to the mind. You might notice, see if this is true for you, how when clinging is getting strong, when we're uncomfortable, how when the mind hasn't quite gotten quiet, something's disturbing it, how quickly the tendency is in the mind to fill up the space. So like when you often notice the ending of a thought, and quick, get back to the breath, right away. Not just, okay, that's thought, it's over. Just space. Like, no, do something. You walk out and you're just walking and look at the bulletin board. Go do something. Oh, I have this 15 minutes and I just walked, I'm not ready to sit, it's going to be lunch, I got to do something. So you read the bulletin board again, you read the back of the toilet bowl cleaner again, you go and, wash your hands, you go and do something. Or even in the sitting, nothing's really happening. You're just there, and it's not like there's nothing happening that you can feel good about, it's just nothing's really happening. So we have to do something to fill up that space. Just notice that tendency. What is it you're drawn to do? What do you get involved in? What do you get caught up in? Experiment with putting it down. Don't read, if that's what your thing is. Don't look at the bulletin board but more than once a day, if that's what your thing is. If 17 cups of tea is your thing, and really you're gagging on it, you don't want any more tea, but there's nothing else to do. Put down the tea, If it's looking at other people, how much do we look at other people? And for what? Don't judge it, but notice. We're wanting to look, notice when you look, and notice what's the effect. How often does looking at other people really make you happy? Not too much. Not too much. Just notice that. But remember that renunciation is a path of joy. It's not that the problem is in the forms, in the externals, or in our moods, or in anything. The Buddha. I is not the fetter of forms or form of the I, but whatever desire or passion arises in dependence on I in the form, that is the fetter. If the sense door, the I, for example, or the sense object, the form, or eating and food, whatever, was the fetter, was the chain, then this holy life for the ending of dukkha would not be proclaimed. Wouldn't be possible. There is an I in the Blessed One. Right? He's saying, I have an I. The Blessed One sees forms with the I. Yet no desire or passion arises in the Blessed One. So the Blessed One is well released in mind. But you get the sense, forms aren't the problem. The I isn't the problem. Renunciation is trying to cut off life, cut off perception, cut off experience. That's not renunciation, that's aversion, the fear. Renunciation is that, seeing sense contact, satipanya, and just putting down that looking anywhere else, looking outside to any degree for completion, for fulfillment. It's really a great path of joy and space and coolness. And it requires a kind of surrender, doesn't it? Surrender to just the truth of this moment. Total surrender of our beliefs, our expectations, our desires about practice, our ideas of who we are, of where we're going, a surrender even of our ideas of freedom, our ideas of liberation. This is just on a moment-to-moment level. I'm not talking about just for that moment. We absolutely surrender all the concepts, self-concepts, expectation, and just land completely at this moment of contact. Without the mind moving out in any way, and the natural radiance reveals itself. Can we trust that enough? Just the more we recognize the burning nature and the futility, really, of this searching outside for the peace that's already here, the more the heart and mind naturally inclines to the spaciousness, the coolness of letting go, of non-greed, or as Ajahn Amaro calls it, the peace and ease that is the natural peace and ease of the mind and heart. So can we just rest in the peace and ease that is the natural peace and ease of the mind and heart?
आवाज़ थोड़ी ठीक नहीं थी, तो इसलिए पूरी सीरीज़ का संक्षेप में मैं आपको सारांश बता देता हूँ। पहली जो टॉक थी वो थी क्लिंगिंग पे, दूसरी सक्काय दिट्ठी पे और तीसरी रिनंसिएशन पे। तो क्लिंगिंग मतलब तृष्णा या उपादान, उनका उस टॉक में मुख्य बिंदु ये था कि जो मैं का भाव है वो क्लिंगिंग से, उपादान से जागता है, जो हम अपने अनुभव पे देख सकते हैं कि कभी भी किसी भी इंद्रिय का विषय से संपर्क होता है तो उसमें वेदना जागती है, या हमें प्रिय लगता है या अप्रिय लगता है, और फिर उसके प्रति तुरंत प्रतिक्रिया हो जाती है, क्योंकि वो हमारे एक तरह से जेनेटिक कोड में ही है कि प्रिय को हम रोके रखने की कोशिश करते हैं और अप्रिय को धकेलने की कोशिश करते हैं। तो जैसे ही हम वैसा प्रतिक्रिया करते हैं, मैं का भाव जाग जाता है। तो इस तरह से क्लिंगिंग करने से, किसी भी चीज़ के प्रति उपादान करने से मैं का भाव बढ़ता ही चला जाता है। और फिर उन्होंने अनेक प्रकार के उदाहरण दिए जीवन में किस तरह से अलग अलग परिस्थितियों में हम क्लिंगिंग करते हैं। दूसरी जो टॉक थी उसमें दृष्टि की बात थी, सक्काय दिट्ठी, कि हम जो हमारे 5 खंड हैं उनको अपना मान के, जो हमारी भूल है उसको हम इन्वेस्टिगेट ठीक से नहीं करते, इसको अपना मानते हैं, अपने शरीर को अपना मानते हैं, अपनी जो फीलिंग्स होती हैं महसूस करते हैं जो हमारी, उनको मैं अपना मानते हैं, अपनी बुद्धि को अपना मानते हैं, अपनी संज्ञा को अपना मानते हैं, और सबसे ज़्यादा अपने विज्ञान को, जो जानने का, पहचानने का, जो हमारी क्षमताएं हैं उसको हम अपना मान लेते हैं, पर्सनली ले लेते हैं, और इसी तरह से जो संस्कार हैं हमारे उनको पर्सनली लेते हैं। और फिर विभिन्न उदाहरणों से उन्होंने समझाया किस तरह से हम ऐसा करते हैं सामान्य जीवन में और कैसे हमारा मैं का भाव बढ़ता चला जाता है। तो आज की जो तीसरी टॉक थी उसमें रिनंसिएशन की बात थी, सम्यक संकल्प में जो पहला बात आती है नेखम्म संकल्प, निष्क्रमण का भाव, रिनंसिएशन का भाव। तो उन्होंने कहा कि निष्क्रमण का भाव एक तरीका है जिससे कि क्लिंगिंग को तोड़ा जा सकता है, क्लिंगिंग कम की जा सकती है और धीरे धीरे वो समाप्त होने में मदद करती है। हालांकि वो एक दूसरे को हेल्प करते हैं, सम्मा दिट्ठी सम्मा संकल्प को हेल्प करती है और सम्मा संकल्प सम्मा दिट्ठी को हेल्प करता है। तो उसके उदाहरण अनेक उदाहरण दिए, भगवान की वाणी से भी बताया समझाया कि भगवान ने भी जब वो बोधिसत्व थे उन्होंने भी यही लगा उनको कि निष्क्रमण जो है बड़ा भारी है, मुश्किल है, और मैं तो इंद्रिय सुख में बड़ा अच्छा लगता है। तो लेकिन उन्होंने उससे अगला स्टेप लिया कि उन्होंने कहा कि मैं ये ज़रा जांच करके देखूं ऐसा क्या है कि मुझे निष्क्रमण अच्छा नहीं लगता और इंद्रिय सुख अच्छे लगते हैं। तो उन्होंने इन्वेस्टिगेट किया तो पता चला कि मैंने इंद्रिय सुख का जो कमियां हैं वो देखी नहीं है और जो निष्क्रमण के लाभ हैं वो ठीक से इन्वेस्टिगेट नहीं किए हैं। अगर मैं ठीक से करूं तो शायद मुझे समझ में आ जाए, और वो उन्होंने किया और फिर वो निष्क्रमण की ओर बढ़े। तो ये उनका जो टीचर हैं उनका ये विचार था कि हमको भी इस तरह से योनिसो मनसिकार से इन्वेस्टिगेट करेंगे तो समझ में आ जाएगा। और निष्क्रमण का मतलब ये नहीं है कि हम वस्तुओं का त्याग करेंगे, परंतु वस्तुओं के प्रति जो आसक्ति है उसका त्याग करने की बात है। जो उसको फिर उन्होंने अनेक उदाहरण से समझाया, भोजन से और व्यक्तियों से, वस्तुओं से किस तरह से हमारे, और इवन ध्यान करने से किस तरह से हमारा अटैचमेंट हो जाता है कि बहुत अच्छी फीलिंग्स आ रही हैं, बहुत अच्छा शांत चित्त हो रहा है तो हम उसको अच्छा ध्यान समझते हैं, और अगर शांत बेचैन हो रहा है तो उसको बुरा ध्यान समझते हैं। तो वहाँ पे भी हम फंस जाते हैं और उसके साथ उपादान करने लगते हैं, समझते नहीं हैं उस बात को, अनित्यता की बात भूल जाते हैं और उपादान जागता है और फिर मैं का भाव बढ़ता चला जाता है, दुख बढ़ता चला जाता है। तो उन्होंने आर्य सत्यों के माध्यम से भी याद दिलाया कि जो दूसरा आर्य सत्य है वो बताते हैं दुख का कारण जो है तृष्णा है, और तृष्णा ही बढ़ के उपादान बनती है। तो हमको सजग रहना चाहिए, और जो तृष्णा बनती है वो वेदना के आधार पर बनती है। हम चाहे कुछ देखते हैं, हमें सुंदर लगता है, और सुंदर लगने तक तो ठीक था, लेकिन हम फिर उसको चाहने लगते हैं तो वो तृष्णा का रूप ले लेती है। जैसे मुझे याद आता है अजान सुमेधो की जो एग्जांपल हमने पहले भी सुनी थी, आई लाइक इट बट आई डोंट वांट इट। वो भेद अगर हम कर सकें तो वो एक तरह का, वो भी एक तरह का निष्क्रमण ही है, एक तरह का रिनंसिएशन है कि हम इसको चाहते हैं इस चीज़ को, लेकिन मैं इसको लूँगा नहीं, मैं मुझे इसको अच्छा लगता है मुझे, मैं इसकी चाहता नहीं हूँ। तो वो निष्क्रमण जो है उस स्तर पे है कि वेदना प्रिय लग रही है लेकिन हम उसको रुके रखने का प्रयास नहीं करते, उसके प्रति उसके हिसाब से प्रतिक्रिया नहीं करते, तो वो भी एक तरह का निष्क्रमण ही है। तो वो विभिन्न उदाहरणों से उन्होंने समझाया कि किस तरह से हम निष्क्रमण करने से हमारी दृष्टि सम्यक होगी और सम्यक दृष्टि से निष्क्रमण बढ़ेगा, और जो अनात्म का भाव है वो पुष्ट होता चला जाएगा। ये संक्षेप में इन 3 प्रवचनों का सार था। अब अपना ब्रह्म विहारों का अभ्यास करते हैं। सबसे पहले मैत्री ब्रह्म विहार, रोज की तरह अपने प्रति, प्रियजनों के प्रति, आरक्षण करने वाले देवताओं के प्रति, शायद वो लोग भी, देवता लोग भी कुछ नाराज़ हैं, सारी परिस्थितियां विपरीत हो रही हैं, ख़ासतौर पर दिल्ली में। सबके प्रति मैत्री का भाव, ताकि सब में मैत्री का भाव जागे, सद्भावना का भाव जागे। सुखी अत्तानं परिहरामि। मम माता पितु आचार्या च ज्ञातिमित्ता च सब्रह्मचारिणो च अविराहोन्तु अव्यापञ्जाहोन्तु अनिगाहोन्तु सुखी अत्तानं परिहरन्तु। आरक्षा देवता भूमट्ठा देवता रुक्षट्ठा देवता आकाशट्ठा देवता अविराहोन्तु अव्यापञ्जाहोन्तु अनिगाहोन्तु सुखी अत्तानं परिहरन्तु। हम सभी प्राणियों के प्रति उनमें उनको भी शामिल करने का प्रयास करते हैं जिनके प्रति कोई रिजेंटमेंट है, कोई नाराज़गी है, कोई द्वेष का भाव है। ख़ास तौर पे उनको सबको याद करते हैं जिनके हमको लगता है कि इन लोगों के कारण तकलीफ़ बढ़ रही है, ये अज्ञानवश या किसी भी कारणवश भारत में जो संकट बढ़ता चला जा रहा है, मन में द्वेष हो तो या उनको भी प्रति भी मैत्री का भाव कि वे सब लोग वैर से मुक्त हों, दुर्भावना से मुक्त हों, चिंता से मुक्त हों। कोई भी गलत काम करता है तो वैर के कारण ही करता है, दुर्भावना के कारण ही करता है। सर्वे सत्ता सर्वे पाना सर्वे भूता सर्वे पुंगला सर्वे अत्ता भाव पर्यापन्ना सर्वा इत्थ्यो सर्वे पुरुषा सर्वे अरिया सर्वे अनरिया सर्वे देवा सर्वे मनुष्या सर्वे विनिपातिका अविराहोन्तु अव्यापञ्जाहोन्तु अनिगाहोन्तु सुखी अत्तानं परिहरन्तु। अब करुणा ब्रह्म विहार शुद्ध चित्त का एक महत्वपूर्ण गुण है। दुखी को देख के करुणा जागती है और इस समय दुख की तो कोई कमी नहीं। सारे विश्व में, हमारे अपने शहर में, देश में, चारों तरफ हर दिशा में विश्व में भयंकर परिस्थिति है। लाखों लोग काल का ग्रास हो चुके हैं और लाखों बीमार हैं। उन सबके कष्ट दूर हों, सबके दुख दूर हों। करोड़ों लोग ऐसे हैं जो अपने घरों में बंद हैं और उस कारण से परेशान हैं। उन सबके कष्ट दूर हो, शीघ्रातिशीघ्र उपचार मिले, दवाइयाँ मिले, रोग का रोकथाम हो सके। सर्वभीतियो विवर्जन्तु शोको रोगो विनाशतु माते भवतु अन्तराय सुखी दीर्घायुको भव सुखी दीर्घायुको भव सुखी दीर्घायुको भव। कृतज्ञता ज्ञापन, आभार उन सबका जो इस कठिन परिस्थिति में सेवा कार्यों में जुटे हुए हैं नाना प्रकार से। सभी का हृदय से आभार। आए हम सब अपने पुण्य उनके साथ साझा करें। पुण्यस्य इदानीयाना अन्यानि कथानि मे ते संच भागिनो हन्तु सत्तानन्तपमानका। हम मुदिता से ब्रह्म विहार बैलेंस करने के लिए चित्त को सभी प्राणी जो किसी भी कारण से प्रसन्नता का परिस्थिति में हैं, जो रोग से मुक्त हो गए हैं और इस स्वास्थ्य लाभ के कारण प्रसन्न हैं, उन सब के साथ हम भी प्रसन्नता में शामिल होते हैं। उन सब की प्रसन्नता बनी रहे, सुख संपत्ति बनी रहे, कोई और व्यवधान ना आए, ऐसी शुभकामनाएं आए हम सब करें। यथा लब्धा संपत्तितो मा विगच्छन्तु। अंत में उपेक्षा, ब्रह्म विहार का अभ्यास, हर परिस्थिति में चित्त में समता बनी रहे और भगवान का आदेश सुझाव कि हम सब अपने कर्मों के उत्तराधिकारी हैं, सुख भोग रहे हैं या दुख भोग रहे हैं, सब अपने ही कर्मों का फल है, किसी और का कर्म हमें दुख नहीं दे सकते। तो इसलिए मन में शांत रखें, किसी के प्रति द्वेष न जगाएं, अपने कर्मों को सुधारने का हम संकल्प करें, भगवान की वाणी को याद करें। सब कम्मस्य का कम्मदायादा कम्मयोनि कम्मबन्धु कम्मपटिसरण यं कम्मं करिष्यन्ति कल्याणं वा पापकं वा तस्य दायादा भविष्यन्ति। और ऐसा होने के लिए भगवान का शिक्षा ये तभी संभव होगा जब हम आर्य सत्यों को निरंतरता से जानेंगे और दुख के कारण को अपने भीतर तृष्णा के रूप में जानेंगे। और हमारी दृष्टि सम्यक होगी तभी ये सब सम्यक पॉसिबल होगा। आए सब हम मिलके, हम सब की दृष्टि सम्यक हो, ठीक हो, ताकि कोई गलत काम ना हो हमसे और हमारे दुख ना बढ़े, ऐसा शुभेच्छा करते हैं। सर्वे सत्ता सुखी होन्तु, सर्वे होन्तु चखेमिनो, सर्वे भद्राणि पश्यन्तु, मा कञ्चित् पापमागमात्, शोकमागमात्, दुःखमागमात्। भवतु सर्वमङ्गलं, रक्षन्तु सर्वदेवता, सर्वबुद्धानुभावेन सदा सुखी भवन्तु ते। भवतु सर्वमङ्गलं, रक्षन्तु सर्वदेवता, सर्वधर्मानुभावेन सदा सुखी भवन्तु मे। भवतु सर्वमङ्गलं, रक्षन्तु सर्वदेवता, सर्वसङ्घानुभावेन सदा सुखी भवन्तु। अरहं सम्मा सम्बुद्धो भगवा बुद्धं भगवन्तं अभिनादे
स्वाखातो भगवता धम्मो धम्मं नमस्सामि सुपटिपन्नो भगवतो सावक संघो संघं नमामि
Ah.